Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana, but today we've traded Alana in for two very, very special souls. I actually think I met them maybe a year and a half or so ago, maybe even longer. Who knows? Time's elastic. But they are two of three triplet sisters. They're absolutely amazing. We have Jessica, we have Jill, and they are actually changing the world. And I'm so honored that not only are they in Resilient AF Stories of Resilience, but they just met me and our community in New York, and they got some really cool things they're working on. So their relationship as triplet sisters has taught them what sisterhood really means and matters, and how to navigate the world that's always comparing them to one another. So I'll tell you a little bit about each of them, but in the show notes, there's a really detailed bio about Shine Living Community, which is where they've built that, and they have a lot going on. So we got Jessica. Hi, Jessica. Jessica is the co-founder. Hi. So she's the co-founder of Shine Living Community and the co-author of Eat, Drink, Shine. She's also a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, and an inspiring speaker. She's the eldest of triplet Shine sisters. Her mission and purpose is to see life as the great transformer to heal and awaken. She shines the brightest through family, nature, and community. She owned and managed community-driven restaurants and gathering places for over 23 years in Boulder, Colorado. Shout out to Colorado. Some of my most favorite humans in the world are there. Before she and her sister, Jill, co-created Shine Living Community as an in-person and digital global movement of health and wellness. She teaches yoga, meditation, breathwork classes, based in several yoga traditions to create embodied, grounded practice full of self-love and self-healing. She's a certified body awake yoga instructor, as well as a certified sacred yoga flow yoga instructor, and has a master's in holistic nutrition. So Jill, hey Jill.
Hi.
Hi. She's the co-founder of Shine Living Community and co-author of Eat, Drink, Shine. She's also a dance instructor, somatic breathwork instructor, and an empowering speaker. She's the middle of the triplet sisters, and her mission and purpose in life is to encourage people to explore and dig deeper into their unique selves so they can share their gifts and passions from the heart. Jill owned and managed community-driven restaurants and gathering places for 23 years in Boulder, Colorado. Before her and Jessica co-created Shine Living Community, which is the in-person and digital global movement of health and wellness. Jill teaches dance, movement, and breathwork from a somatic, which is an embodied perspective that is all about connection and inner and outer strength. She's a certified somatic practitioner and a certified breathwork practitioner. She's also a certified teacher in a various amount of dance styles. And if you follow them on social media, they're almost always dancing. And I'm so excited because you're the first two of three triplets I've ever had on this podcast. And
we're so happy to be here.
Yeah, so this is a mix of like audio and visual. So if you feel like you want to say who is speaking, for those who aren't watching us, that could be beneficial or not, whatever you guys want. So you each have your stories shared in our books, and the stories that you shared are different. So why don't we start by just tapping into a moment of resilience or a story of resilience that we want to share, and we'll talk about all the things.
Okay, so
This is Jessica, I was going to say.
And thank you so much for having us in the beautiful book you created. Such an honor. And the story I brought to the book was very near and dear to my heart, especially doing the work that I do in the world, because it was around healing my autoimmune that I had going on. Growing up, I was super active and super excited, a gymnast, a yogi, a teacher, and just really embodied and playful and loving it. But I was also plagued with some pain in my body, and that pain over time was just growing. And I was like, how is this possible? I had, as I got older, my master's in holistic nutrition, and I felt like I was doing everything right. And so all of these actions I was doing in the world felt like I should have a super healthy body, and I looked healthy. And yet there was pain. And so it took me on this incredible journey towards self-love, because what I was recognizing is that I had a lot of these old programs playing in my brain about not enough, or, the things I was doing, even though they looked healthy from the outside in, was more of like a self-punishment or like a not enough energy rather than this energy of self-love. And even around holistic nutrition and eating healthy, like my recognition and my come to was now like, okay, this all, I wanted it to be an act of self-love, coming from the heart, coming from like, I'm doing this to nourish myself rather than I'm doing this to look a certain way or to act a certain way. And so it really came all the way back to the intention that was behind everything I was doing. So this obviously bled into every area of my life, my relationships and everything I was teaching. And instead of like teaching, about something, I started to teach from something, from my own personal experience and journey towards self-love. And that's when I healed. And now, at 50 years old, I feel healthier than ever, more vibrant than ever, and more like in gratitude than ever, because everything starts and comes from the heart. And that's what I love to teach and share in the world. And that's a place I love to connect with my community from, like letting it be messy and beautiful and authentic.
Thank you for sharing. And I think that's such an important message, especially with like the stress epidemic, the sitting epidemic, the, fast food problem.
And the comparing epidemic, like even a lot of us in the health and wellness space, there can be like this, about what we look like or what someone else is doing, and then coming back to the true, authentic, energy that's, unfolding inside each of us is what really needs to come through.
And what's really powerful about your story, saying that this is the healthiest and happiest you've been and you're 50. What if those listening who aren't 50 yet can make those changes now so they don't have to live in the place they are? And I think a lot more people now are becoming aware that they even have an autoimmune, illness, because there's so much more information now. And then people get stuck on, what do I do now? How do I, instead of managing it, what if you could heal it? And so I'm excited.
What if it came back to you healing yourself? Because so often we're looking outside for the person or the pill or the thing that's going to fix me. And that's what I really learned, because autoimmune, it's the energy behind it is, this kind of, your body's attacking itself, there's an energy to that. And so then it was like coming back to that energetic imprint and shifting that. And that was all me. It wasn't anything outside of me. So
that's so cool. Yeah.
And one of that's so cool things that I think of when Jessica tells that story is like, what is health and what does health look like? And what Jess and I speak to a lot in our classes and our workshops and in our conversations just with each other, like health really comes back to connection. It's like, it doesn't matter as much what you look at, but it's like, how connected are you to self? And then how are you connecting to others? Like, is it from a place of connection or a place of wanting to be loved and seen and heard, which we all want? But if we're doing it not from a place of connection, it really does put our body attacking itself, because we're not in alignment with who we are and who we're meant to be. And so, which is part of my story, which we'll get to, but it was like that trying to be all things to all people.
And I think this is a beautiful bridge to your story. And I just want to say, like, I've been on a different type of healing journey, but as I've been healing my heart from extensive trauma and grief, because I'm more in tune with my body and I'm not self-medicating, I'm actually learning about various, I'd say, diseases that I didn't know I had, but things didn't feel right, like endometriosis. And I'm pretty sure I have some like a histamine issue happening. And it's all about like, how do I heal that? And I don't want to live taking pills. Like right now I'm living in a place where I'm taking an antihistamine before bed every single night. Because if not, I wake up covered in welts. Mm-hmm. And so it's so interesting that you're bringing this up, and this could be, maybe we talk about this offline, but if you're listening to this, like it's that connection to self and self-love, like you have to start with yourself. And so I think that's really beautiful. And Jill, I think this might be the perfect time to share your story.
Thank you. And what I'll say about that too, and again, Jessica and I talk a lot about this, is really like visualizing and feeling yourself healing from the inside. Like it really does help support the healing. So it's like, instead of focusing on, the ailments of what's happening in the body, like really visualizing and feeling what it feels like when it's well. Like if it's back pain, it's like, sitting with your eyes closed and visualizing yourself moving or dancing or stretching or, whatever the things that you love to do, and start to almost feel it in your body, and your body will start to feel it from that place of connection, and it starts to heal itself and come back to an alignment. And again, like Jessica says, what she did with her body, so much of it was about that self-visualization and, changing the story. And so my story that I'm so grateful for, because everything that's happening is happening for a reason. That's the other piece. So instead of being against it, it's like really leaning into it. And what is this trying to teach me? And for so long, I was the middle of the three sisters. And like you were saying at the beginning of Blair, when you were introducing us, people were always comparing us. And so I was always comparing myself. Like I thought that was the normal thing to do. And even when I even got further into it, I realized, oh, it's not just because I'm a triplet. Like we all do this. We're all comparing ourselves. And when we're comparing ourselves, we all have a different story. So we all fall short. And so quote unquote, because really it's like, we're all getting what we're supposed to be getting for our own unique teaching and for our own unique experience of why we were brought into this life at this time. I mean, that's how deep it goes for me and for us and for this work we do. And being the middle, comparing myself, I always felt unworthy. I always felt like I felt short. Jessica, like this was my story. Jessica got married first, then Jennifer was married. I was single. I was, in my 40s and running a restaurant, and I was so burnt out and I had no idea what I wanted. So what I did was I made myself into what I thought everyone else wanted me to be. So I would, in every relationship, I would be who I thought they wanted me to be. In every, friendship, I would do that. In the restaurant, I would do that. And it left me feeling so depleted. And, around the time that I turned 42, I was just like so sick of it. I remember I was walking around my neighborhood by myself. It was around Christmas time. And I was looking into, I wasn't like peering in, but I was seeing people's, houses with the Christmas trees and the family gathered around having dinner together. And I felt so alone. And I'm like, how is it possible? Like I'm one of triplets. I have an amazing family and all this stuff. And I feel so alone. And I was like, I like literally like, I was like, this is it. And so I started doing things to get really outside of my comfort zone. You think like running a restaurant is out of your comfort zone, which it is, but it just was like, it was feeding my, people pleaser. And so I started traveling by myself, traveling out of the country by myself. I started taking dance classes, and the teacher that was teaching said, I really think you should come teach. And I was like, no, I would, not my thing. But then I said yes, because I'm like, this is my year of saying yes. And I got, certified, and then I got certified in different modalities and became a choreographer. And I started to really find myself through my body. And I started really connecting to myself. And then I was like, started to see what I was doing, this people pleasing, this, jumping my own ship at any chance to feel seen and heard, instead of being in alignment with who I really am. And I really started to love myself. So it's similar in the way of worthiness and coming back to self-love and connection. And it changed my life so completely. And, and I did. I met the guy in my dreams. It's like, we're all like, big eye roll. I get it. But it's like, I did, and he came in just at the right time when I didn't give a, can we curse on here? I don't want to, but I didn't give a, I was just like, I don't need it. I have me, and I just want to have a love affair with myself. But then he showed up and he saw me, and I saw him, and I knew, and he just supports me in me, exploring who I am. And, he's like my biggest cheerleader besides my sisters. And, it's just so fun. Like life has become fun because it's self-exploration, and it's, bottomless. I'm learning about myself all the time through the tools and techniques that Jessica and I teach together, and we're inviting others to do the same. So the cool thing about it, we're not teaching from a teacher student per se. I mean, it's really about power with, and I really think, and we talk about this a lot, Jessica and I, the way forward is not power over or power under, because that's exasperating this worthiness thing. It's really about power with and really amplifying the energy within and around us through community. And when we do that together through, dance and through yoga and through breath and through, community experiences, dance parties, it's just like the best. It's the best. And we learn so much about ourselves and each other. And it's just feels very authentic and enlivening.
And what I love about that, and thank you so much for sharing, is you stepped outside your comfort zone to really find who you are.
Yeah.
What you love. And it took you being uncomfortable to find comfort.
Totally. And it's really interesting because now I'm like, it's like I just tried out for a dance troupe at 50, and
a dance troupe, like a cheerleading troupe?
Not just cheerleading. It's more like hip hop, lyrical, like, and it's out of my style of dance, but it's like, I was like, I'm going to do this at 50. I'm going to do a performance, like I'm going to do rehearsals and do a performance. And I tried out and I got onto the troupe and I had my first rehearsal last night. And I was like, I can't believe I'm fucking doing this. But I was so happy because I was just like, I know I'm going to learn more about myself through this. And so I'm just showing up fully in my life through our work together and in my personal life. And yeah, unfortunately, the comfort crisis is real.
Yes. Oh, I love this so much because this is what I noticed, because you guys live your authentic lives. Like, I've only known you since living your authentic lives. So I didn't know you before. And, I'll be 40. So I'm a little, like, I'm a different decade, but my generation, and I'm thinking your generation, like, we're told to do certain things, go to school, get a degree, find a partner, get married, have kids, push buttons, work 40 hours a week, do the soccer mom thing, whatever it might be. And like, we're actually not meant to conform.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I wanted what I thought society wanted me to have. And then life unfolded. And all of a sudden I had this like, uh-oh, what's my purpose? Who am I? And it took a full like shattering to rebuild. And this time doing it on my terms. And like, what if someone listening now hears your story and they're like, you know what? I'm just living someone else's life, someone else's purpose, what someone else thinks I should be doing. I spent 10 years in med school and now I'm a doctor, but I hate it. And I just want to open a cat cafe. Like, open that cat cafe.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Right. And you built this whole community. Like, first of all, let's talk about this kid. This is what I thought was cool because I like my music. Very excited. I have a bunch of concerts coming up. But you started off this like restaurant party, like music, like community hub, like physical hub. This is the restaurant you're talking about, right? Like, it was, let's talk about that and how that evolved into what you have now, which is Shine Living Community.
Well, it's so cool because we grew up in a big Italian family. Our mom's one of 12, and we're, 2 of 4 kids, and everything was always happening around food. We were always connecting. We were like making up. There was births, there was deaths. And so food was always celebratory to us, and food always represented community. And so like coming out of, high school, even, we were always like, one day we're going to open a restaurant, open a restaurant, open a restaurant. And we were naive enough to actually do it. Right after we graduated from college, we opened at 24 years old, and we just wanted to get the party started and the community started. And so, opening this restaurant, we wanted to do food that was really serving the public. So something that we did, and this was even like 25 years ago, was farm to table. We were going out to the farms. We were like supporting local. We really understood the connection of food. And part of this for us was really offering from the heart. So we did like farm to table food, and then we would throw these parties, like these dance parties and DJs.
Like that, we would literally like take the white tablecloths off the table, and an hour later people were like dancing on the table.
Like, that's my jam.
So cool. It was so cool. And we were dancing on the table, with them.
Totally.
Yeah. And you've brought in, and you've had like big music, like you've had like a lot of musicians came through.
Mayer was there, and Modest Yahoo was there, and like, Rising Appalachia was there, and
I love them.
I mean, so many. I mean, Trevor Hall, Xavier Rudd. I mean, we started, a lot of people, Gregory Allen Isakov, who's from Boulder, Colorado, a lot of them started off in our venues, which was so cool. So it was like, it was iconic. It was the place to be, right at the heart of Boulder, Colorado. And it was like a wine bar too. So it was cool because you would have, you know, these really like buttoned up like men next to these like hippies with like dreadlocks, like drinking wine, you know. It was just like all walks of life coming together to celebrate. And that's the interesting thing. It was celebrating our uniqueness because it was people sharing their gifts on the stage and all this beautiful food from the farmers that they grew with their hands. And it was like really, really beautiful.
And we continued with this for many years. I mean, a little over 20 years. And then, you know, even during the pandemic, when we started to question everything because they were, you know, having all these crazy rules and the 6 feet apart and all the things, and everything we loved about the business was now being broken down and broken apart. And it was actually such divine timing for us because this was also happening internally. Like we had given so much. We had like almost like wring the life out of it, you know what I mean? Because we were there all the time. We put our heart and soul into it and we were growing and we were changing. And now we were, you know, in our mid 40s. And so, you know, through the pandemic, we stayed with it. We wanted to be a place for people to come. We'd be on the patio, we'd be dancing, we'd have the kids there because they were being, you know, homeschooled at the time when things were closed down. And they were in the kitchen with us. They were
bartending with us.
Me
and my 7-year-old niece were like the bartenders. She would just measure stuff out. It was her schooling.
Love it.
We were making shelter helpers and boozy margaritas and
they were like making like beautiful hearts and putting in every single to-go bag. Together we rise on a heart. Like, you know, and that also brought us into this multi-generational healing and coming together, part of our big Italian family background as well, because a big part of our mission is also bringing the kids along and the family and the neighbors
and the elders.
And, you know, we don't heal in a vacuum. And I think for children to see the adults, you know, healing and doing the work, and for us to remember the wisdom that the elders have and bringing them in, even if they're moving at a different pace, it's like we inspire and lift the whole. And this is something we're so passionate about bringing back to, you know, movement and healing, is just normalizing the challenging times, the tears, you know, the showing up as you are. Like, how incredible is that for the children to see? You know, I'm raising a teenager at 14, an 11-year-old, and I'm like rebirthing through that experience too, and seeing how the world is now through social media, and, you know, her being a competitive dancer and all the things. And I'm just like, again, falling in love with myself and having so much compassion for my journey and what brought me to the place that was challenging and then brought me out of the challenge. And so it's just so inspiring.
And one thing I'll say too is, you know, as we were transitioning from the restaurant, and like Jessica said, we were still gathering, but we were gathering outside, and we were moving and we were dancing and yogaing together and breathing together. And we said it's time that the 4 walls, now we say the 4 walls reside inside our heart. And it's like, we need to get beyond these 4 walls. We want to make this a global movement, and we want to create it our own way without, like, you know, the pressure of the rules and the regulations of what was happening at that time. And then also just like, you know, there was so much overhead and 50 employees. And there was just like, when you're a restaurateur, it's like you become an expert at troubleshooting. And I felt like that's what I was doing. I was like
you're in survival mode all the time.
All the time. You're in like fight or flight, like all the time. You know what I mean? And we were so ready to create from a different place. And we're so grateful for the restaurant because it helped us learn so many things. I mean, I can't even believe, even though it's such a different, you know, company, it's like the mission's the same, but obviously the modalities are very different. But we bring in every piece of the restaurant, like holding space, creating the vibe, creating the energy, bringing people together. Like, it's something we're really good at.
Dancing in community, sometimes still on tables.
On the freaking tables. And so it's so funny because I went into one of the places that we used to own, like the building where we were, and there was a sign on the wall. and it said no dancing on the tables. And I'm like, that is so funny because I know people still go into that building remembering when we were there and they try to dance on the tables. Like we created memories and we still are. And so we love what we're doing. And we just released our second edition of our cookbook.
Yes.
We have it here.
Eat,
Drink, Shine, the second edition. And I feel like this is who we are now. And the first time we went through a publishing company and we did it their way. And the second edition is us doing it our way. And so, yeah, it has over 100 recipes, lifestyle tips, tools, techniques, and it's very family driven and family friendly as well.
Oh, I love it. And like you don't just have a cookbook, like you have this whole community with like in-person, virtual events. Like let's talk some clothing, very vibrant, beautiful things. Let's talk a little bit about that because if anyone listening is like me, they've already fallen in love with you guys because you're epic. And like, yeah, we might not be like eating farm to table food and dancing on tables at your venue in Colorado, but like I'm in Canada now, I can be a part of your community without having to show up to a physical establishment. So, I mean, I'd love to just, give a high level so we can, let people into your world.
So Jess and I are like, I mean, huge believers in the fact that everything is energy and everything's frequency. So what we're creating, what Shine Living Community is, it's a frequency. And it's a frequency of like really coming into the greatest version of yourself through anchoring within and really getting to know yourself and expanding from that place. So we talk a lot about anchoring and expanding. And we do this through dance, yoga, meditation, breath work, nutrition, community, family, and it's multi-generational. And we live stream at least once a week on Wednesdays for our Freedom Movement Method class, which is a 90-minute class. It can be, this is on Wednesdays, but on the digital studio, we have anywhere from 20 minutes to, an hour and a half for these Freedom Movement Method, but it goes from dance, yoga to meditation. And it's, a modality we created, the Freedom Movement Method, and it's so fun and deep and juicy. And so people can join us from all over the world, live streamed for that, and also live in person in Boulder, Colorado. And then on the digital studio, we have all those modalities of classes, plus we're launching programs, evergreen programs that are on there. And we also do global retreats and workshops. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. The monthly membership is an easy way, and it's just $39 a month, or you can purchase it for the year for like $30 a month in total, and you get everything, access to all of it. The live freedom movements, live virtually, all the classes.
And it's an ever-growing library. There's already over 100 classes on there, and there's all different times, meaning, like Jill was saying, 20 minutes to hour and a half. And it's really deep, different types of breath work. And it's also really fun. And you can invite the whole family along as well.
Yeah, Jessica's daughter even teaches some classes on there. Her daughter, that's a professional dancer, teaches some stretching and different things for kids. And we love it so much. We're so passionate about it. And like Jessica said, it's like ever growing. And like this is what we were born to do. Like everything has led us to this point. And we really believe that we were built for these times. And these times are calling for us to go within, to really recognize the healing capacity we have, that, we are our own medicine, and like being our authentic self is really what is going to heal us in these times and show us the way forward, connecting to our hearts and moving from that place with each other and with ourselves. We're going to start to see solutions to these problems that we're seeing in the world. And this breakdown that we're seeing is, we talk about this all the time. It's like, it's necessary for this breakthrough to what's coming. And we believe that what's coming is so much more beautiful than we can imagine. So we feel very hopeful and really excited and really fired up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. I had to write this down. Like we are our own medicine.
Totally.
On so many levels. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's so easy. Like it's lazy. People like to blame.
Yeah.
People like to point fingers and blame and not take accountability and not step into their power to take their healing into their own hands. And you have to want to feel better. And
Feel better. And sometimes it has to get so bad outside of you, almost like there's nothing to hold on to anymore.
Yeah.
And so you have no choice but to turn the gaze inward. And like, it's so freaking cool when we start to recognize how powerful we are, so much more powerful than we've been taught, than we've been shown many of the times. And so
Yeah.
this is our time. This is our time to step in and step up. And it's deep and it's beautiful and it's possible. And we're seeing it like ripple so far and so wide right now. And it's beautiful. It's a
I
whole
I love that. And I just want people listening to understand, like, you don't have to hit a rock bottom
No.
to start this. Like, I'm just, for personal experience, like my rock bottom, I've had a few. One, I dated an abusive alcoholic and I had to really look at my life when I fled that relationship and was homeless. I was homeless for 3 weeks, then met my now husband eventually. But my mom, after my mom died, that was a serious rock bottom. I was so ungrounded. I couldn't even, like, I was a shell.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started a spiritual awakening and going within and realizing the power I had to heal. And it took me going down a real non-traditional route of healing, because traditional routes stopped working. Like, there's only so much an antidepressant or traditional therapist can, do for you. And then when I chose sobriety 6 years ago, that was the real gift, because I had to feel, and you need to feel in order to heal. But you don't have to hit that rock bottom. You can, have support from Jill and Jessica and the Shine Living community. You're witnessing out there, listeners, viewers, everything, everyone, like the power within the, we are the medicine. Like, my community I've been growing since 2019 is testament. What these two inspiring women have built is testament to that.
It's so possible and it's never too late. And it truly is this, like, you don't have to hit rock bottom. It begins when we start to feel, as you said, like having this somatic experience of the wisdom of the body, because sometimes people don't realize they're just living from their mind all the time. And we're missing this whole beautiful experience of embodied wisdom, which we all have flowing through us all the time. And
Ugh,
so it starts to, when we start to feel, we start to understand the language of the body and the unique wisdom that's coming through us. And then life becomes a grand adventure,
yeah.
all of it, the highs and the lows are all part of this awakening. And
Exactly. And sometimes I think the hardest part for people is like, where do I begin? And the thing to remember is, first of all, it takes practice. So it takes like really, committing to retraining the pathways into the brain. And so that's what we do through our work and through these classes and through the digital studio that you could do in your own time at any time, is really just retraining the pathways in our brain and in our body towards healing and towards empowerment and towards self-wisdom. And when you're doing it in community, it amplifies. And so whether we're doing it in the same space or we're all doing the same practices together, it really starts to amplify the healing. And it's been studied, it's been measured. And so it's like, to find this inspired community and have not only accountability with each other, but to amplify the results, I think is incredible. And it's so available. And it's like, you start to think about who you're surrounding yourself with and how it feels to be around the people that you're with, because we take on each other's energy too. And the stronger that we get in our own unique being and who we are, the less we are affected by what's happening outside. And we start to realize that we create our experience of life rather than being the victim. Like you said,
Yeah.
we become the creator.
I love that. It's so powerful. So let's, as we're wrapping up, I'd love to share a piece of advice, and maybe you each can, you know, bring your experience. You have to know that it's time to start. And yeah, like, we need to start somewhere, but what's something that our listeners can do today, like at this moment, listening to this, to begin on the path?
Do you want to go with that? Let myself process.
yeah. So, often as I was just speaking to, like, we're living from our brain, and we don't know the difference between living from our brain and living from the wisdom of our body, but our body's always speaking to us. So it's like, many of us may feel anxiety or stress when we're having a challenging conversation. So, like, instead of the feeling of anxiety or worry bringing us into kind of the pattern of shallow breathing, like for me, it's like, now when I feel that feeling, it triggers me to say, oh, I need to breathe. So stopping and breathing. And I have a mantra that I say all the time: I love myself, I trust myself. And it sounds so simple, but when we say this and we let the energy of the words like kind of ripple through our system, all of a sudden we're connected to more of a soulful self, more of a soulful experience, and therefore it could bring up a deeper part of ourselves. So we're not going right into our patterns. And this is a moment to moment thing. Like, it doesn't need to be a formal practice, like where we need to hit the mat and we need to take an hour. Like, this could be moment to moment. It could be when we're driving in our car. It could be when we're in the grocery store and someone's pissing us off. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Stopping, taking a breath into our belly. I love myself. I trust myself. And from that moment and that place, something different will unfold. A new pattern will be created. And then it's like, you know, turning a ship around. It's like starts to happen slowly, and all of a sudden you're starting to contact a new version of yourself.
That's beautiful.
So another thing that I'll say really helps as far as dropping out of the mind and into the body is breathing through your nose and taking long, slow, deep breaths and putting your hands on your heart. So often we're breathing through our mouth, and we don't realize how much this aggravates not only our nervous system, but also our mental brain. And breathing through the nose is so much healthier for us. So as much as we can remember, and again, it's a practice, and the more you practice it, the more you start to do it automatically, because like 50% of us are more like our mouth breathers, like all the time, and our nervous system is putting us in fight or flight. And so breathing through the nose, and then just an added extra credit if you want, is like putting your hands on your heart, and really when you're breathing, feeling the energy of the heart, and breathing in and out of the heart like it's a lung, but in and out of the nose. And just doing this will start to balance your nervous system. It'll start to balance and harmonize your energy. And whatever it is you're working with, you'll start to get more of a higher perspective, more of a bird's eye view, just by shifting your breath, like Jessica was saying. And then also, it also has so many healing just by nose breathing. I mean, it oxygenates, it helps the lung capacity, which is basically like our gas tank for life. It filters the air that's coming into our body. It warms up the air that's coming into our body. It opens up the pathways in the nose and down. I mean, there's so many things that breathing through the nose will help. And everything is, runs through our nervous system. So when we can start to balance our nervous system, we'll see how our life starts to change, and how instead of reacting to everything, we learn to drop in and really say what's happening here and what's here for me to learn, rather than living our life in fight or flight or reacting.
I love that. Sidebar. So this summer, spring, summer, and fall, like we have a summer home. It's like a trailer parked out in the forest, off grid, no cell service, no electricity. It's like this coastal lush forest by a beautiful white sandy beach lake, clear water surrounded by mountains. Anyways, as soon as I got out there my very first time a few years ago, my nervous system relaxed. First time ever. This year, I decided I'm going to have flow Fridays. I'm not going to let anyone book with me. It's going to be all about what I want to do when I want to do it, because I'm an overperformer. I guess so. I'm an overachiever, high performer, and I've had a business since I was 23. So 16 years of like operating very like intensely and not realizing my nervous system was shot. And so I was like, you know what? And I'm going to block off Thursday afternoon so I can finish my work, go to the lake Thursdays, and be there till Sunday. So 3 nights where my nervous system relaxes the most. It was so profound. I did that for spring, summer, and fall. And to the point where people are like, your energy is so different. You are so grounded. Like, what's your secret? I'm like, I prioritized my nervous system.
Yeah.
I prioritize my nervous system. And what you're saying is so like, I mean, you have more training in this. I just have a lived experience of like, I can't live in this body anymore.
Yeah.
To like, oh my gosh, like my day today is I collected sticks and then I disco tiled them like that, like.
Isn't it true that like when you started doing that over and over every weekend, that it changed your Monday through Thursday?
And everything.
Like everything, but like you started to work differently and react differently and like, look differently and feel differently. It's amazing what happens when we start to really anchor into ourselves and really, feel into our nervous system.
And the biggest thing was I took accountability.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to fix this. I have to fix this. Like, there's no magic pill. I mean, like, there's temporary solutions, but I'm like, wait, I'm an entrepreneur. I am in control.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of my life. I'm in charge of my health. So I'm going to do this. And you know what? Some of my clients didn't really like that. They couldn't book a meeting with me on a Friday, or they would try and get a hold of me. And so the people in my work world changed. That's actually where I came to the conclusion of like, I like semi-retired and shifted what I do and really started taking the Global Resilience Project seriously, in the sense of it wasn't just my passion project, it became a social enterprise and business. And it's all because I was able to relax and I wasn't in survival mode.
Yeah.
Imagine
The
if,
well of creativity.
yes. And like, there's nothing more satisfying than collecting cool sticks and like covering them in disco tiles. Like, I loved my disco.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And once
But
you do that, and once, like you're saying, you take control of it, and you realize that you're creating the, you know, the craziness or whatever, like and it's like nobody can take it away.
no,
Nobody can take it away. And like, and if they do take it away, it's because you're giving it away and you realize that. So you have a choice. Am I going to give it away right now? Or am I going to hold on and anchor within? And like, it's a constant practice. And again, not saying that it's like, oh my God, and then there it is. And now I have it for the rest of my life. It's like, but like Jessica was saying, life becomes like, I don't know if you said a playground or something like that, but a grand adventure. And that's the thing. Like, I'm like, that's such a brilliant statement because it's so true. It's like, then it's like life becomes the practice and life becomes the medicine. Yeah.
right. And so it's interesting. So my parents died. I was like, I'm not going to live a life I want to retire from. I'm in charge. I don't need to wait till this magic date to like do the things I want to do, especially because that date might never come because both my parents and my father-in-law died before retiring. And all they talked about is when I retire, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, And so when I started approaching my physical and mental health the same way, and like taking every aspect of my life into my own hands, magical things unfolded. And you ladies are also like a huge testament to that. And so all of your links are in our show notes. More information about you are in our show notes. I want to invite the world into your community. And I love what you're building. So any final words before we wrap up?
Just thank you. I mean, I think thank you, you know, to you for showing up in your authenticity and who you are, and for seeing us and who we are, and just being able to connect here in, you know, this space together. And we're so excited to meet you real time in New York.
I love it. I love it. It's great. It's great. And you know, this is coming out. This episode will be out after you have a new program you just launched.
Yes.
So this program is incredible because it's teaching us how to do a morning practice, 30 minutes or less. And we say that because you can be a busy parent or an entrepreneur or someone who like starts their day early, but recognizing that morning time it's like maybe the most important thing you do all day. So we have several practices that we teach that you can bring beyond the 30 days.
And it's called Coming Home to the Power of Your Heart.
So coming home to the power of your heart, and it's grounding, connecting to yourself. Again, it is the most important of the healing journey is that connection to self and learning the language of the body. And that's what we do through this program. And again, 30 minutes or less in the morning, the best time you'll spend all day.
And it's dance, yoga, meditation, breath work,
and it's like
recipes
and a little
nutrition.
variety each day. So it changes up a little day so you can be excited about a new thing you're learning each day.
And there's lots of little extra credits in there, little tools and techniques to up-level every area of your health.
I love that. Everyone that listens knows that I love my mornings. I wake up, move my body, have a candlelit bath, pull an oracle card, meditate, journal. Like, I'm all about my slow mornings because it's how you set yourself up for the day. So kudos to that. I can't wait to check it out. And so thank you for coming on our podcast. And thank you to everyone who tuned in for another episode of Resilient AF. We drop into your ears or your eyes if you're watching on YouTube every single Tuesday. We're here to remind you that you're not alone. It is okay to not be okay. You got this. You're going to get through it one step at a time. And friends, just remember, you are resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.